Welcome to the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass with Brett Henderson, founder of Strategic Wealth Endeavor. We've created a community of veteran entrepreneurs just like you who are ready to help you succeed. Our podcast provides expert advice and resources so you can overcome any obstacle in your way. With the help of Brett and veteran guest experts, you can build a battle-ready business mindset to take your company to the next level. Thank you for listening to the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass. Now, on to the show.
When you decide to take that huge step to buy or sell a home, you want advice from someone who has gone the extra mile and knows the business. Brett Henderson has a guide just like that. Brett's guest is Jesse James Johnston. Jesse enlisted in the Marines and served 8 years in the reserves. At the same time, he worked with autistic kids in the Los Angeles Unified School District. And that was before he got his real estate license. The combined experience of the Marines and education taught Jesse about communication, discipline, human nature, and patience. And what better combination of qualities could a real estate agent have, right? Well, Brett, please welcome Jesse and tell us more.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrice. Good morning. Good morning, Jesse. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Brett. Doing well. Thanks, Patrice, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting day. We're just chatting a little bit before we hit record about the weather. And it's 95 degrees where I am in Hermosa Beach, and Jesse, you're in Studio City, same thing there. And Patrice, it's been hot and humid where you are, East Coast. And so we've kind of had a role reversal. And I just went for a little run, and it kind of reminded me running around Quantico at OCS 25 years ago, hot, humid, sticky, sweaty. So it's an interesting weather pattern. It's supposed to be rain. I guess there's a hurricane coming up from Mexico this weekend.
You guys are on track to get some hurricane stuff.
Yeah,
we're going to feel that. So.
Kind of crazy, man. So interesting way. So hopefully we get through this before the storm comes. But yeah, I think it was once you and I have been friends for about a year and a half or so, almost 2.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And when we have our monthly networking group meeting, you and I are in a group called Marines Drinking Coffee Talking Business that we started a couple of years ago, and we can talk more about that later. But it's pretty funny. Every time we go around and we chat about who we are, what we do, and who we help and how we help, everyone wants to hear from you. So everyone wants to hear about real estate, what's going on, because the real estate market has been so crazy the last several years or almost decade. So I thought it was prudent to have you on. And also, as an entrepreneur, your career is one of those things where a lot of people think about, hey, can I make money in real estate? How do I get into this? And how would I get into this? And you don't have to have a huge team of 100. You can do it kind of solo with some mentorship, I think. So that's the reason I thought you would be great to have on the show or the podcast. And so with that, why don't you take a little bit of or I'll stop and ask you kind of share about your time when you were in the Marine Corps, kind of what your mindset was going in, what you did, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure. Great. Well, thanks again. The way I got into the Marine Corps, from the start anyway, I'm a second generation native California, born in the San Fernando Valley, just a suburb of downtown Los Angeles. And I think what brought me into the Marines was honestly my sister's boyfriend at the time. I played football with him in high school. He was a few years older. He went into the Marine Corps reservist as I was. And it just kind of, I thought I needed a kick in the butt. I thought I needed to, I guess, in a sense, grow up, be a man. I didn't do great in school. And I thought, what a great way to start my life, quote unquote life. So I did. I met Staff Sergeant Cachopo in high school. And, he kind of leaded us into the reservists. Tony Orsini, another guy in our group that, Brett knows, who went as the buddy system, they called it. So I felt like, that sounds safe enough. So next thing we knew, we're on the yellow footprints, as everybody knows, down there in San Diego, and went through boot camp, graduated. After high school, graduated in 95. So it was July 17th, we went in, and I actually did my MOS training at 29 Palms. So I don't know what 29 Palms is right now. Like
nice
and that
cool,
place.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Nice desert just east of us, about, 3 hours or so. In any case, I was a radio operator. That was what I did in the Marine Corps. I was stationed in Long Beach, at an area called Terminal Island. So 3rd Anglico Air Naval Gun Liaison Company. I pretty much, as a weekend warrior, as a lot of people call it, just went in Friday morning to Sunday night once a month, and very doable for living both civilian life and Marine Corps life. And during that time, I was going to a community college, worked different jobs here and there. You know, I was worked on the dock at a trucking company. I was a waiter, and LA Unified throughout that whole time. Also worked at In-N-Out. So I was kind of supplementing my income here and there where I could. And, honestly had a great time throughout it. And, hindsight, I should have stayed in, should have done the full 20 years, as a lot of guys, look back and.
In the hindsight, you should have stayed at In-N-Out Burger, because I want a double animal style right now, man. Do you still have your apron or what?
That was the funnest job that I ever had, honestly. 8 hours went by in a flash. So I love that job. I was a fry guy. That was the pinnacle of my career there. And a lot of the what do you call it? I guess the managers of each In-N-Out, they can make a pretty penny. They were the ones actually flipping the burgers, believe it or not. Those are the managers of the store.
Hands on.
But yeah. So back to, the Marine Corps. Had a fun time there, and then kind of went right into, real estate. Well, I won't get into real estate just yet, but
before you do, take a step back, kind of share your mindset when you're considering getting out versus staying in. You did 8 years in the reserve. So let's talk year 7. You can either stay in or get out. What was the catalyst? What was your mindset? You're like, okay, I've done my 8, or I'm going to be doing my 8. I'm done. What was your mindset? What's your thought process then?
I guess I had a girlfriend at the time, and we were getting more serious. I think I had just moved in with her. I don't know why. It's
That's
funny
all right.
now. I mean, like, thinking back, I'm like, I was just kind of like lazy, honestly, because there's it's physically demanding. And so that weekend would come around so fast. So it got in the way of my quote unquote fun, that we wanted to go away or do this or, so honestly, no real big reason. I got out right before 9/11. So it was
right. You didn't
August
know.
of 2001. And so I guess I kind of dodged that bullet in a sense. I was on inactive reserve for a year after that. So technically 2002 is when I was out. My gunny called me. He's like, be on standby as soon as that happened. So, I mean, I was ready and prepared, and just, I guess after that, was kind of the fear in me probably. I don't know. Yeah.
That's an honest answer. But one thing I do want to stop, because some of the listeners may be like, oh, this guy's just lazy. He's a dirtbag. You get to cut your teeth, you cut your fries, which I understand. But just tell the audience, how far did you go for a run last month?
Right. So now present day, I'm definitely not lazy. Yeah. The other, couple months ago, it was a 60-mile ultra run.
60 miles. I went for about 4 this morning, and I'm drenched in sweat, and I think I'm tough and hardcore. You went for a 60-mile run. That's ridiculous.
60-mile run on pace to hopefully do 100 one day, which might happen next, is it March? There's a run out in, Paso Robles. It's around a 2-mile, winery, a 2-mile track in a winery. So, imagine
you do it 50 times?
50 laps. Yep. So that's the plan. And there's a lot of crazy. Do
you have a glass of wine with every lap?
Last year I did a 30. I did a 30 there, and I had a few Bud Lights before the run, which starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. I only made it to about 2 a.m. because I was, drinking too many Bud Lights. But next time, I think
crazy.
So it's real fun. I'm not a slacker in terms of fitness now, I guess. It was just, I was young. I wish someone would have just said, hey man, look, think about this, because a lot of benefits staying in over the 20 years and all that. But here I am today,
No, that's
still
good.
alive, still kicking.
No, I think it's good. I think actually, if you think about everyone listening, there's probably a lot of us like that. And you and I are about the same age. I'm 46 now. You're what, 45?
45. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we all look back now with hindsight and say, oh, I wish you would have done this. I wish someone would have kicked me and done that, or said this, or pushed me to do that. But that's life. It's how you learn, right? It's how we grow. And then hopefully it impacts what you're doing now. And I'd say, obviously, if you're running 60 miles, you're a little bit motivated right now. Like, I think I'm pretty good PT, but you just make me feel like a slacker all the time. So I give you kudos, and I feel guilty for not going
not at
super above and beyond.
Yeah. I did 5 this morning. So that's kind of like my daily, maybe 3 to 4 times a week, do like a 5 mile. But when I'm hitting those big miles, then we're really training. So just maintaining. You're maintaining, dude. You're ripped. Come on. Remember? he comes to the Zoom meetings half the time for our Marine Corps networking thing, shirtless.
Not the networking group. That's a pre-call call, and that's after some PT, and that's only when it's three of us, and I'm not going to offend anyone. There's no HR to get offended by me showing up drenched after a workout too. But it just, we both go that time frame. I'm sure a bunch of guys listening that are our age as well, or gals. I kind of noticed this year. I think I spend as much time stretching and loosening up and warming up for my workout now, then my workout is long. So like there's a weird transition. You just work out 5 minutes, work out for an hour. Now it's like, half an hour to stretch, loosen up and work out for half an hour. And I think it's going the other way.
No, absolutely. I'm horrible at stretching. So my stretch is just a very, very slow start. So I'll start out practically walking, and then my muscles kind of wake up, and then about a half a mile in, then I actually start running at a full speed. But
that's how it is, man. No, that's good. That's good. So let me ask you this. Let's shift back to kind of your career path and what you're doing now. How did you go from, what was the mindset when you got out and you're trying to figure stuff out to say, and you went and you're helping kids with autism, which is a phenomenal thing, by the way, because we know my son's on the spectrum a little bit. How did you have what was the catalyst again of the mindset where you're like, okay, I'm doing public service. I'm helping out the community. I'm giving back. And now I want to go more, I guess, in the enterprise side of corporate America,
right? For
profit, so to speak, versus just working for a district and actually do something that's 100% commission and eat what you kill. How did you make that decision, or where was the catalyst, or was there something that pushed you, or some event that said, I'm going to try this or do this? What was what happened there?
Most definitely. I got into LA Unified right around 96. So when I came out, when I was, I guess back as a civilian doing my monthly weekends with the Marine Corps. My mom and sister were actually employed with the district. And she's like, meantime, just, you got to jump into something, and here's some really good income at the time. And it was like $10.50 an hour. So it was 1996. I thought,
that's good money.
Yeah. Why don't I, full benefits, 40-hour a week or close to 40 hours a week. I said, all right, this is solid. I can work for the city for a while. So 10 years later, 2005, I was now married, since divorce, but married at the time. And she was actually in insurance. So she was doing, small groups at a company called HealthNet and making good money, So at the time, again, now still feeling like a slacker, not really, I felt like I needed to pick up the pace. And then a friend of mine in the district actually got his license, and then eventually left LA Unified to do that full time. And he wasn't, the brightest guy, I'd say, or, he's probably listening now. But I felt, hey, I could do this. And a buddy of mine, Tony Orsini, he was big time, always pushing me, hey, you got to buy a house. And I had just bought a house the year prior to starting real estate. So I was just starting to see the market really pick up. This is 2003-04 time as it was jumping. So I got in, I guess by way of my wife pushing me at the time and seeing that guy as an example and just wanting more out of life. I just felt like the district was such a great place. I had a fun time. It was great just being with all the kids and friends there, but it was a very small world. It was just a small, I worked for at the school called West Valley, really small little school. And that was it. It was just so tight. And I wanted to just expand my horizon. It was really, really scary just going out in the big wide world finally, so that almost felt like at that time, that was truly my graduating from high school into the big wide world. And it was a big learning curve. It was challenging because I didn't understand that world at all. I didn't understand about reaching out, keeping in touch with friends, and things like that. And it really helped me reach out and want to reach out. Not only, cause I am now in the business, and of course you want to reach out as you get into real estate, they say, contact your center of influence, they call it, right? Your center of influence and to drum up business. But it actually it helped me grow as a person, a bigger person, and not be so, small, I guess is for lack of a better word.
Yeah. You had your world, right? You knew your world and you expand your world, your sphere of influence, your sphere of concern, little Stephen Covey there. But you grew and you got out of your comfort zone and you pushed yourself. So how long would you say it took you from going, okay, I'm going to try this to really sinking your teeth into it and going all in. So I'm going to learn this. I'm going to master this. I'm going to own this. This is going to be who I am. When did that mindset or did that mindset ever happen?
I think it did happen so now, as a lot of people know, in 2006, the market peaked around 2007, and then the recession hit in 2008 and the whole world crumbled down. So I got in right as we peaked and then it crashed. So I was definitely treading water during that time. And right as I got into real estate, 2005 and 6, I was now breaking up, going through a divorce. So not only treading water, selling my home and going through that divorce was very, very challenging. So when you say, when did I really hit my stride? I would say as the market started picking up again, 2011, is really when I just got my confidence, and the referrals actually started coming in at that time too. So and that's really how I do most of my business is by referral only. Mm-hmm. It's, friends and family and past clients, and you do a good job. They're happy to refer you. So that's kind of how I do run my business now. And 10 years later, the market's done great. So I've actually been very lucky to have satisfied homeowners, buying during that time. I mean, I was one of the unlucky ones. I bought in 2003, my first property. So that.
Why does that make you unlucky? Why does that make you unlucky?
Unlucky, meaning a lot of people during that time, I guess didn't see any downside to buying a home with, they called it 80-20 or liar loans, with stated income, 80% first loans, 20% second loan, 100% financing. And well, I guess I probably would have held on to that home.
And you'd be way up. You'd double by now, double or triple by now.
I would have, if I held on. I held on. I think I jumped ship because I was getting divorced there, and I was a little nervous that I was going to not be able to handle that payment on my own for that home.
Yep.
And so hindsight, I wish I would have held on, rented it out. The market definitely recovered. But when I say unlucky, I mean, just the amount of foreclosures and people that had adjustable rate mortgages and couldn't handle it and had to let homes go, where their homes were cut in half. And I guess hindsight, everybody looking back might have held on because those homes now practically tripled from that time.
Yeah. I mean, the fact you said that exactly, because I actually bought in Tarzana. You and I are kind of neighbors there when I lived in the Valley when I first moved out here, and I got my condo in 2002. And I don't mind throwing out there. It was like $180 at the time. And then, it went up and then it went down to 90, but I was underwater. But so what? I held on to it and I just made it work, and I made my payments and I survived just like everybody. Well, most people. I didn't drop, I didn't flip, I didn't go foreclosure. And then I picked up a couple others when the market was blowing up in 08, 09, and 10 in Vegas especially. It was dirt cheap. You could buy a 1-bedroom condo in Vegas for $22,000 back then. It's crazy. So it is timing, and it's cash flow, and it's where you are. So
it's patience, and you're definitely not an anomaly. There's a group of people that did hang on, and they held up there under the bargain and kept making their payment. But I think a lot of others just actually literally couldn't make that payment. They had to let it go, whether it be a short sale or foreclosure. It was a sad time for many people. But good for you to pick up all those properties.
We'll talk about that another time too. But let's jump back into the mindset though. So you think from your experience, you'd humbly say, not humbly, but you'd say it took you from 06 to really 11, so 5 years to really say, this is who I am, this is what I do, I own it, I master it. A skill from nothing to you're an expert. You say about 5 years?
Yes, and I think maybe took that long to, and I still don't, I look at myself as a newbie still, 16 years in, I sometimes feel like, wow, there's a certain people that can come into business and just master it, that first year, just really dial it in. I don't have a formal degree, a bachelor degree, anything like that. Like I mentioned, went to community college. So maybe people with maybe more of a marketing background or just educated differently.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But this is your life. This is who you are. This is what you're doing.
Yeah. So just kind of going from, I guess you can call a blue collar mindset to now this white collar, world of finance really is what it is. In the end, it's investing. Sure, it's home ownership, but it's a big investment for people. So, it was a huge learning curve for me. And so, so that 3 to 5 year period, sure. I guess by that time I was really, excited about the business, felt confident during that time as the market was now shooting up.
Okay.
So,
Let me ask you a tough question then. Again, this is our audience. I can't even speak. Sorry. My pre-workout's wearing off. So like hits me fast, like 5 cups of coffee, but I can't speak when I come down from it after my run. What is or has been the number one challenge? What's been holding you back, do you think, as you're building this career and moving forward? What is it? Your own mind is like, why do you think it took 5 years and not 1 year? And are you where you want to be? So is there one thing, is there one experience or just something that pops up in your mind when you're thinking about your business, you're trying to grow the business, or you're in your world, in your work that you think has hampered you? What's your, like, an internal mindset? Like, I call it head trash where I come from. Is there anything there that you think that you can look at yourself in the mirror now and say, dang it, why did I do this? Or why do I let this happen? What's the one thing that you think has held you back?
Yeah, I think as you were asking that question, I'm thinking that over analyzing and doubt, when that creeps in, it definitely hinders your performance. And I'd go from, buttoned up collar guy with a tie, thinking this is the archetype of a real estate agent. And then, like following scripts, let's say scripts with, calling people on the phone and marketing that way, door knocking, which definitely work if you stick to it. So my personality, over analyzing things, jumping from one thing to the next and ping ponging, different, I guess you would say, strategies and how to get business really messed me up. And if I would have
shiny object syndrome.
Well, yeah. And I thought, hey, I'll just be me. I'll just be me. Sure. Yeah, that can work to a certain point, but it'll only take you so far. So if I would have stuck with something such as maybe some sort of coaching and just kind of put my head down and didn't think about it and just do exactly what they say, I'd probably be much more successful, maybe have a larger team in place, something like that, and just thinking bigger. But I didn't. I just kept, again, comfortable, that small world. So I maybe took that small world mentality of LA Unified, transferred it over to real estate and got so far. But so there's definitely room for growth for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think what you said is spot on. It's huge. And a lot of us go through that. So actually, I really appreciate you. And for the listeners, you and I didn't plan this conversation. You just shared what was on your mind, right? We're kind of flowing. However, I'll humbly say I have been the exact same way. And you try this and you try this. Well, this isn't working. Let's go faster and fast. Let me try this thing and this and this and this. And I get accused of chasing the shiny object all the time. And that's just who I am. And I agree. If I would just shut up, put my head down and try the same thing over and over and over, I probably would have had success sooner than I have. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's reality. And I think for our listeners, a lot of us are like that. We're all trying. We don't know. And you don't know if what you're doing is the right thing because you're not getting immediate results. But anything, you really got to try it, not a month or 2 months or 3 months. You really should say, okay, for the next 6 months to a year, I'm doing this. And just shut up and do it.
Shut up. That's right.
And that's the hardest part. And I think our head trash, and you said it, is our biggest obstacle, one of our biggest obstacles. And to that point, have you ever, actually, Mike Gordon, which.
Right.
I don't know why he left the group. That's a whole nother conversation, right? He's a Sandler trainer. So Sandler, have you ever taken any Sandler training?
I've never taken any of that. Nope.
Okay. No. Well, this is an interesting thing. I'm going to take over for a minute. Sorry, but it's very timely for what we're chatting about. So with Sandler, there is a concept called your I and your R, your identity and your role. And so a lot of us, if you ask yourself, who are you and how do you rate yourself? Your identity, a scale of 1 to 10. And you don't have to answer out loud, but your identity is who you are for you, in your case, a man or a woman, just who you are. In a scale 1 to 10, our identity must always be a 10. We must always think we're a great, amazing human being. And if you're anything less than that, then you've got major head trash. And then your role, though, is what you're actually trying to do at that time. So your role could be a husband. You could be a 10. Or you could be a 2, right? You could be a phenomenal husband or a horrible husband. You could be faithful. You could be cheating. You could be a father. You could be a parent. You could be a 10 or you could be a 2. You could be in your child's life or you could choose not to be in their life. You could choose to abandon them. You could be an athlete. You could be a hiker or you could be a salesperson. So you could be a real estate agent. If you're starting out, it's a new role. Your role could be a 1 or a 2, but you don't have the experience and skill set yet. But as you build your experience, your skill set, that role score will go from 2, 3, 5, 8, eventually 10 when you master it. So once you actually accept in your mindset, hey, I'm trying something new, this role I suck at right now. I am not good at this role. It's okay because you don't have the experience and it's normal. But once you come out of that role, the human being that Jesse James is, you're always a 10. You're always a 10. Right? As a Marine, you go on boot camp, you're a horrible Marine. You're getting kicked around. You don't know anything. You're getting yelled at, right? They're PTing you. But you figure it out. You figure out how to play the game and your role as a Marine improves. You go from being a shitbag to shit hot, right?
That's right. Yep.
So I'm just sharing, and that just popped in my mind as we're sitting here talking. It's such an amazing concept that helps shift my mind to have a positive mindset about myself and realize, humbly, my entire career, professional career in the financial world, just like you, I built my business 100% on referrals. I never cold called. I did cold walk with CDs around the neighborhood in Tarzana one summer when I think 2005 when CD rates were 5%. I cold walked a bunch of houses and put flyers in mailboxes, and then the mailman called me and threatened to arrest me because I'm not supposed to put flyers in mailboxes. I had no idea, but I was a young kid trying, right? And hence I was horrible at that role, but I tried. But now, so you realize if you're not good at a job, a lot of us will beat ourselves up. We'll be, I'm a horrible person because I'm not doing well. No, your role, you don't have the skill set and the experience to excel in that role. So if you can mentally put your armor on and go fight that role, go be that role, get kicked, get pushed, and then learn, improve, grow, excel, you will get better at that role. So when you come home at the end of the day, after being in that role, you take that armor off, boom, your identity, you're Jesse James Johnston. You're still the amazing Jesse James Johnston. And as a father or parent, you put another suit of armor for another role, you just continue to roll. And so it's kind of funny, as we gain a lot of experience, we get better at so many things because we have so much experience. That's why the old wise one, because they have so much experience, because they've done it so much. They weren't always that way. And I think it's okay. So that being said, sorry, I kind of hijacked the podcast, but
good.
I think
it's
good.
Man.
You go.
Your podcast, and I appreciate it. And I think just kind of a minute ago, you were saying how, you personally were maybe jumping from one thing to, maybe not one thing to the next, but different ideas and strategies or the shiny new object. But I can feel you kind of hitting your stride with this podcast. You were the main one who started this Marine Corps networking group. And then being that leader, you have that knack. You have that natural ability to chat and come across as authentic and care and all that sort of stuff. So I think where you are right now is where you need to be. And I think maybe this is it, but it's great. It's great being here. So, this is my first time on a podcast, so I'm really appreciative that you had me here.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, that was some good advice, definitely on the mindset. What we believe to be us, right? That quote unquote us, like, who am I? So changing who you are. Oh, that's not me. I don't cold call, or I don't do that, or it's just uncomfortable for me. Yeah. That bridge, that jump, I did that back in 2006, becoming a real estate agent. But since then, I probably kept backing away every time I got that resistance and that uncomfortableness. And as they say, you got to track your activity to say, well, I get 10 no's before that yes, right? So that's kind of what you were talking about, that resistance. You got to feel it. You got to be okay with it, that armor. And then you will get that yes. But sometimes maybe I'm just a bit, didn't want that confrontation or feel, Yeah,
well, no one wants to be told no. No one likes to be told no, whether on a date or seeing your team lose. Like, no one likes no, and it's reality. However, if you realize the more no's you get, you're building your skill set to get closer to a yes. It just changes your mindset. And so
you just have to believe it. You just have to believe that.
Because it will be there. So let's do this. Let's shift for our audience sake. And number one, thanks again for the positive feedback. It means a lot to me because I'm trying to figure it out too. Who the heck knows, right? But we're trying something. We're going to see if it works. So in terms of giving value to our listeners, to veteran entrepreneurs, they are thinking, hey, this is about real estate. Give us a quick you don't have to do a commercial, but what is going on right now in September, mid-September now of 2022? Rates are going up, and this is only the California market, obviously, or Southern California, Los Angeles specifically. But what do you see is going on either here or nationwide? Give us a couple minutes on just where you see the real estate market going from your experience now as a professional. People want to know.
Sure. And my experience might be different from where all the experts are talking about where the market's going. But I guess if you were to say, if I could just paint a big brush at first and say from 2010, 11 to now 2022, almost 2023, like you said, we're in September here. The market has continued to rise. And when I say the market has continued to rise, what that means is just the value of homes has been going up. And
doubled or tripled most places, right?
Doubled, tripled, quadrupled in some areas, right? So that's been great. It's been great for homeowners. Now the pandemic hit and we had another spike right after people released back into the market. It just went absolutely, bonkers in terms of sales. So like 6.5 million units sold, I think, in 2021. And so now here we are, 2022. From January till today, inventory has slowly been increasing. And so inventory means how many homes are on the market at a current moment. And that's been increasing. And so because of that, along with now the more recent interest rate jumps. So interest rates on a 30-year, fixed rate mortgage has, I think it spiked around June, like late June. It's kind of settled down. So that's really the major determining factor of someone's ability to purchase. Prices have not only gone up drastically, but now interest rates are up. So the affordability, so someone's ability to pay that mortgage has now gone down. And so that's pretty rough. So what we're seeing compared to last year, we had 30 offers per property. The seller could just, they could just tell the buyer what price they wanted. The buyer would give it. They'd remove all contingencies on an offer and the sale was done, So right now what's happening is we're getting maybe 1 to 5 offers on properties on average. Sometimes homes are sitting on the market a lot longer. And it's really settled down. So we call it a deceleration of home prices, not a crash, not a market crash. There's a lot of stats out there and certain factors that can tell you the market's not going to crash per se, but it's definitely slowing down. So if you look at from June to July in LA County, the median home price went from $860,000 to $846,000. So on the surface, prices are going down. They're dropping, they're dropping. But we have to look year over year. So last year at this time, the median home price was $809,000. So from $809,000 a year later to today, $846,000. So we'll see what the next few months are going to bring with these new interest rates and people's ability to buy. But that's where we are today. So I can't say prices are crashing, but they are definitely adjusting. We call it a softening.
Well, would you say it's because of affordability? So if you can buy, just throwing out numbers to keep it simple, $1 million house and financing's 2%, and now the cost of financing went from 2 to 4.
Yes.
You can't afford as much, right? So the price has to come down. So is it more a factor of affordability, what people can afford or what the market's affording? Or are you seeing these big monster institutional real estate investors coming in, just buying up all the entry level homes, turning them to rentals so that first time home buyers can't get in and it's hard. So what are you seeing as far as the impact? Is it more a question of just rates and inventory, but what's causing more inventory? Is it the increase in rates? So the affordability is going away. So if less people can afford it, you can't have all these crazy offers coming in because the offers are gone because people don't have the money because they can't afford it. So that's creating more inventory. So isn't it at the end of the day, it's all going to balance out? Because if you can afford $3,000 a month, let's just say, for example, and if $3,000 a month, you can afford a $400,000 home. But now that cost of financing or borrowing has gone up. You could still afford $3,000 a month, but the interest rate's higher. So now instead of buying a house for $400,000, that same $3,000 a month can only afford a home that's $300,000.
Right.
So that's,
right. So
is that it? Is it more a factor of that?
It pretty much is. I mean, so because of the fact that interest rates have gone up, that has kept the inventory rising, or that's the cause of it. That's part of it anyway. And as people's ability to afford the prices, there's going to be less sales. Some people are what we call priced out of the market completely if they want to buy in a certain area. Now, there's other finance products where you can have adjustable rate mortgages. Different loan products can help you get into a property with a lower interest rate at first until your maybe income catches up with that, if you need to be in that specific market. But what a lot of people are doing, I just sold one in Lancaster. If anyone knows the Antelope Valley, sometimes people need to go out that far. Great home, beautiful home, it's $470,000, and it was just perfect for them. They have a Rhodesian Ridgeback in a big old 10,000 square foot lot, so they loved it. But so people are just going to have to adjust where they want to be, maybe from a single family now to a condo. And that's just what it's going to be for a while.
So it's affordability with interest rates. Affordability with interest rates.
It's pretty much what it is, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two more things, and then we should probably wrap it up. This has been awesome, by the way. And if you are one of our listeners and you find this entertaining, do us a favor and just send me a comment or a note. Say, yeah, we like Jesse, or we'd like to hear more about this. Let me know. And Jesse, if demand is there, especially real estate, which I assume it is, probably love to have you back, brother, if you're having a good time.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
cool. Here's one nugget that actually I just humbly went through, and you and I talked about this earlier, and I don't know if I use myself as a guinea pig or not, but if you are a veteran and you're listening to this, which most likely you are, something I did not know until literally last week was that as a veteran, you can get a VA loan, right? We all know that. And with the VA loan, the best thing about a VA loan is you can get a loan with zero down. So if you don't have a bunch of money in the bank, you can buy in California $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 home with zero down, which is awesome. The challenge for most of us, if you've been out for a while, is we're already using our VA loan. And so I still have my first house I bought as a lieutenant in 1999 back in Lejeune. I still own it. And I don't have a lot of money, and the mortgage is less than 20 grand, but I just let it sit there. And so I've been hesitant, or I thought you could only have one outstanding VA loan at a time. I was not even aware until last week, and I've been a real estate investor since 1999, that you can actually have more than one VA loan outstanding. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, you brought that to my attention last week.
Did you know that too, or no? Humbly, did you know that? It's okay.
I could say that I heard it, and then I was quickly brushed away from the topic because they said it's too difficult to make that happen. And so I did more research after you told me. So I appreciate it because I love learning and I wanted to know about this. Every veteran's going to have something called a certificate of eligibility that they get through the VA. And it'll tell you that your entitlement, that's the word you're going to be looking for, your entitlement. Are you fully entitled? And everybody has a $36,000 entitlement. Don't ask me what that represents because I don't know. I'm not a lender. But what I do know is per county, there's going to be these Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan limits. Okay. And so if you bought a home I'm trying to simplify this, in another county, let's just say the loan limit is $500,000. If you purchased a home for $200,000 in that area and the county loan limit for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans is at $500,000, you essentially have $300,000 more entitlement to use. So you can now go buy a $300,000 home. So in Los Angeles County, probably not, the ability to do that's not there necessarily, but definitely other states and counties, I can see it happening. It's really interesting when you brought that up to me. So I'm going to look even more into it because one of the things I don't know is this, Brett, if you bought a home for $200,000 and now you only owe $15,000 on it, does that mean and maybe one of the lenders can chime in here. Does that mean you now only are using $15,000, or do they consider that $200,000 purchase the number that they're going to look at and base your remaining entitlement on? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Two things. So I will share as I've been looking. So for all the listeners, I don't mind. This is my show. I don't care. I can tell my personal story. I have a son who's 5. His mom lives 60 miles away. And so I'm looking at a place to be closer to my son, period. So that's why I'm looking now into a second home or primary home for myself versus just real estate investment properties.
Yep.
And so as I'm going through my own journey here, so I could be closer to my son, spend more time with my son, I was unaware again. I thought I would have to pay off my existing VA loan and then start all over again. But the lender I spoke with said, no, let me check. And he checked my certificate of eligibility and said, yeah, you have full entitlement. So I don't know how that works, but I do. So I have my one little VA loan for less than 20 grand still outstanding from 1999.
Yeah.
And so I could use my full certificate of eligibility. Now, one more nugget I'm going to throw out there that I'm going to ask you for your, what you think is the one thing that any veteran entrepreneur listening should know. One thing that I am finding out now, which could save me potentially $20,000 or any other veteran that's looking to do this, is if you have a disability rating. If you have a disability rating, and we have a Marine in our group, he actually used to be one of my Lance Corporals back when I was lieutenant, back when I was lieutenant platoon commander, who helps veterans increase their disability rating. And if you have a disability rating at all with the VA, you then will potentially waive your VA funding fee if you use a VA loan. So an example that I'm looking at right now, if you look at a loan that's, $500,000, for example, that VA funding fee is $20,000. If you can get some form of disability rating through the VA, that's completely waived. So rather than adding $20,000 more to your mortgage, you save $20,000. So I think that's a huge piece. It's a huge piece.
It's a huge piece. And I'm not rated with the VA. I think if you're even connected, service connected at 0%, I do believe even that qualifies you to waive that funding fee. And like you say, it's huge. It's like upwards of 3% sometimes. It does change depending on how many times you use your VA.
Right.
But yeah, it's a great point, and it's definitely something to look into. Matt Chasen with our group.
Yeah, or Heather too. I think actually you just made me think of, we need to have one or both of them on to talk about the whole VA disability and rating and how that works and that process. I think, because again, these are veterans on this call. Everyone needs to know about this. So I think they go hand in hand. So you just gave me the catalyst for a future episode, which is awesome. All right. This is really good. So let's do this. We're almost at 40 minutes. What is the one thing you feel you've learned, or the one lesson, if you could share one point that has made your career better, made your life better? What's the one thing you've learned or thing you've gone through, experience you've had that you'd like to share with the audience? No pressure. No pressure.
In real estate, I guess just in the...
You take it anywhere you want, brother. What hits your mind right now? What's jumping out? Don't think, just talk.
Yeah, what jumps out at me is just be authentic. Be who you are. Be real and honest. Hardworking, and don't beat yourself up. That's a huge, when you talked earlier about that, would you say head trash or something?
Head trash. Yeah, we all have head trash.
Yeah, the head trash. So that head trash is essentially that beating yourself up. So I would say I would focus on that. Really, really listen to what you're telling yourself. There was a book I read like 10 years ago. It says what we say when we talk to ourselves. It was really, really great. And there's all this chatter that's going on, and it pretty much programs you for your next, couple hours to 10 years from now. It's the roadmap, that stuff you're saying in your head. So stay plugged in to stuff that's positive. Stay plugged in. When I say plugged in, listen to stuff, read stuff about your field or your goals, what you want to do. Just stay plugged in all the time. That's really going to keep you on track.
You're saying mindset. Mindset is the number one thing.
Mindset is a number one thing. Awesome. I guess that's right.
Awesome. I agree. I think we're all working on it. None of us have it down. We've seen a few leaders that do have it down, like Jesse Puller, a few others we can talk about. But in the real world today, it's definitely a challenge, man. So I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being honest. Hey, do you shoot by chance?
I have a Glock, but it's been a while since I've been to the range. That's it.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you for being on the episode and for being on as a guest. I just want to let you know that our mantra is trade in your old iron sights and give your wealth a red dot. So I'm going to be sending you a Sig Sauer Romeo 5 red dot, brother. So I want you to say thanks for being on here. And if you ever pick up an AR, you can throw that Romeo Red 5 on it and use it. And I went in the range from iron sights to a red dot. Dude, it's a joke. It's so easy to shoot with a red dot versus iron sights, man. So maybe that'll motivate you to go get,
it'll give me a reason to get an AR now. So
dude, yeah, exactly. If you got the red dot, you got to get the AR, man. So thanks for being on. This has been great. Patrice, you're in charge. What I missed besides everything?
You only have to tell us how people can reach you, Brett.
Actually, for me, I'm pretty easy. Brett at SWE90, Strategic Wealth Endeavor 90. So SWE90.com, LinkedIn, and or now the podcast link is everywhere. So if you're listening to this, you already found the podcast, which is great. But, yeah, SWE90.com or Brett at SWE90.com. And Jesse, how do we find you, brother?
Gosh, all over social media. I'm pretty much JesseJamesLA.com. JesseJamesLA.com. It'll lead you everywhere you need to go. I'm your best shot in real estate. So on Instagram, I'm BES_shot. They didn't have BEST, unfortunately. So I'm BES. BES. So, and you'll see my license plate, the same thing, best shot.
Well, most of us are deaf anyway, so it's fine. We can't tell the difference. That's great.
That's awesome, guys. And for all you listeners, of course, follow, subscribe to this podcast. That way you're going to know when the latest episode is ready for you. And by all means, please share with friends and colleagues. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you for listening to the Veteran Entrepreneur Masterclass podcast. Don't forget to click the follow button to become notified when new episodes become available. Securities offered through IFP Securities LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Investors LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP, a registered investment advisor. IFP and Strategic Wealth Endeavor INC are not affiliated. The views expressed are that of the host and are for informational purposes only, and in no event should be construed as an offer to buy or sell securities. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and do not take into account the particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs of individual investors. Neither IFP Investors LLC, IFP Securities LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP, nor their affiliates offer tax or legal advice. Interested parties are strongly encouraged to seek advice from qualified tax and or legal experts regarding the best options for your particular circumstances. The information given herein is taken from sources that IFP Advisors LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners.
Hi everyone. For this particular podcast, I've been asked to add another layer of disclosure for compliance purposes. So this is that disclosure. So I want to let you know that for this particular podcast, I'm not referring any clients or prospects for any real estate deals or anyone involved in real estate or any actual real estate transactions. I also wanted to confirm that I'm not involved in any type of mortgage or lending transactions. And if you are looking for that, you should consult a mortgage or lending professional if you have any questions regarding real estate loans or anything pertaining to real estate. So again, no recommendations, no endorsements for real estate or anyone in real estate or any real estate transactions for this particular podcast. Thanks so much.